Good afternoon, and welcome to the Catholic Prison Ministry Coalition's town hall meeting for April with a conversation on women in prison. This is a little known topic that we normally would have, but it's a very impactful one. More Black and Brown women are entering into the prison system. And it not only affects them, but affects the family, because most women are their caregivers of the family. So this afternoon, we thank you for joining us and being on this important conversation. The flow of today is going to be, I am Kimberly Limore. I am on the executive board of the CPMC. I'm also the pastoral associate at St. Sabina Church in Chicago. So we welcome you on today. We thank you for sharing your time with us. And at the end, we'll have time for questions and answers. And we ask that you put any questions that you may have in the chat. So I'm going to open us up in prayer. I'll introduce our facilitator for today, Sister Donna, and then we will get started because this hour goes really quick. And hope everybody's good with that. So let us get into the presence of God. Good and gracious God, we thank you for this day, a day in which you have made, a day in which we shall rejoice and be glad in it. Today, we lift up those who are incarcerated, especially the women. And we also pray for the families, that they would continue to receive the care and attention that they need and have their physical, emotional, and spiritual needs met by each and every person that they encounter. Please, Lord, allow them to keep their hope alive, that even if a family member is still behind bars, that they are not lost or forsaken. We thank you, God, for your mercy. We pray for those women who may be cut off from their families and who are serving time. We pray that they may be able to see themselves as a child of God and co-heir with Christ. I pray in the name that is above all names, the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 So today, I want to introduce our facilitator, Sister Donna Liette. She is a sister of the precious blood for 65 years. I told her earlier that she must have came from the womb right to the convent. Presently, Sister Donna ministers at Precious Blood Ministry of Reconciliation here on the south side of Chicago as a restorative justice practitioner and director of women's programming. She served 14 years in Dayton, Ohio as executive director of Mercy Manor, a transitional home for women released from the Ohio prisons or drug treatment facilities. She has also ministered as a teacher, principal, foster mother, and spiritual director. Her present work includes providing safe places for mothers who have lost children to incarceration, to the streets, or to gun violence, to tell their stories, find support, healing, and hope. She holds an MS in Education Administration from New York University and an MA in Pastoral Counseling from Loyola University in Chicago. For relaxation, she enjoys planting and caring for the flowers in the Precious Blood Peace Garden. So today, we just have a warm welcome for Sister Donna.
Thank you all. I didn't know you were reading all that. So anyhow, I'm just Donna, but I have been a sister of the Precious Blood for 65 years, and I'm proud of that, and I've been blessed. And one of the greatest blessings I think I've had, besides God's special care of me, has been to work with women, either in the prisons or coming out of the prisons. And what an injustice we do to women. We do to men also, but working so much with women coming out of prison, I have felt their pain. I felt how wrong it is that we institutionalize women, and especially as very young women, as Jay, one of our women on the panel will speak about later, not later. But, having been in many prisons, especially in Ohio, just seeing women institutionalized, and many of them have mental health issues. And many of them have mental health issues because of the trauma that they experienced as children. Many of them have addiction issues. That's a disease. That's not something wrong, it's a disease. And so we don't treat those things in an institution such as prisons. And some women are pregnant in our institutions. Some of them have other issues like domestic violence. But because of the domestic violence, sometimes they act out in ways that cause harm, and then they are institutionalized and incarcerated and charged with a crime. And so much injustice as we look at women incarcerated. And I am so grateful that Latrice J. actually offered to speak a truth that I could never speak because I have not been in those institutions. I have visited those institutions. I have not been in those institutions. And I imagine the things that they can say as far as just abuse, physical, sexual, emotional abuse alone, not having a name, just a number, never having a chance to really dress like a woman. And you know how important as women, how important that is to sometimes do our hair or sometimes, dress real pretty, wear high heels, put on some nice makeup. Do they have that opportunity to really know and feel as a woman? And can you imagine going up in prison at 14 or 15 years old, or even in your 20s, and having to grow up and go through those developmental stages as a woman? So I just ask you and thank each one of you who were willing to come in on this webinar and to listen to what it happens to women in prison. So it's so wonderful to have each of you here and to be attentive and to be interested, and I know you're going to love Jay and Latrice as they tell more about their experience of being incarcerated in our prisons. So I would like to turn it over to Latrice or Jay. Do you want to say who'd like to go first?
Latrice can go first.
Okay, Latrice, would you tell us a little bit about whatever you want to tell us? Nothing that you don't want to, but just tell us your story. I have known Latrice for over a year, and she is delightful. She just gives me so much joy every time she walks into Mother Brunner House. So Latrice, welcome.
Latrice, unmute yourself.
Could you all hear me now?
We can.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. First and foremost, Sister Donna, thank you. But however, when I come down here, I feel the love and the joy here, and I appreciate that. I'm speaking to everyone on the panel. I did 30 years incarceration. I just was released in 2020, and I want to speak from the root of behind the walls to educate you all on things you are not aware of when it comes to the female penitentiary. And when I say what I say, it's hard. Some is heartfelt and some is sad, but I just got to be honest. I lived in a punity institution and a punity society. And with that being said, we was judged, we was stripped. The injustice was always they right, we wrong. I have witnessed abuse, rape. Officers, the males got away with the rape. That will mess with someone mental, physically and mental. And when I say physically, because when you strip me of who I am as a woman and take from me, and you reach out to attorneys affairs and you make a report, they'll turn around and put the inmate in said, and they won't lock the officer out, and the officer still be the CO they call him, but his correction officer still work down there. So that's harsh on the female, just to know that an officer can sexually harm someone and get away with it and still hold his job and don't be held accountable, or just move him from the south end, meaning this is the north end, this is the south end. Just to witness that, and you seeing it and you can't do nothing about it, you feel hopeless, helpless, and it turns on you because it's internal. Now it becomes a part of you because you want to speak out, but however, you don't want to be beat down or harassed, put in said or unnecessary disciplinary act. When I say disciplinary act, that means a ticket where they can put put you in said 6 months, a year, and so forth, and you have to go in front of a justice committee. So I always felt like it was a cult because they all stuck together. We have some good, our officer wasn't bad, but we had some good officers. But even with the officers that knew that what was going on with the rape there, they still didn't speak up. So I just felt like we have a voice now. Yes? Did you say something? Okay.
No, keep
All
going.
right. I feel like I'm out here now and there's more I can speak on. And I don't have to be held accountable for there. I'm out here. And I also like to speak on most of the women that I'm there that have kids, that when we feel down and lonely, we don't receive mail or letters. Like, I wish there was a system built where someone can always send a letter to anybody. Just that be hopeful, make us feel good again. Just to say, hey, you someone, you somebody, because a lot of people don't have family. And some people who's been locked up a long time have lost their family, probably on past and so forth. And to speak of the ladies that come there for having a baby the first time and come there for a baby killing, and they go through a trauma within them. And so when those days come around and no one or their family ostracize them, won't send them no mail, we embrace that. But I would like to see a system out here where they can write the females and just say, hey, you someone, you somebody, or God's love you, or so forth. Just a letter means something. Just sometimes when someone receives that. My physical abuse, well, I'm gonna say this on a personal level because people say, what do you mean physical abuse? Well, you can be injured just by walking, going somewhere to the healthcare. If I'm walking to the healthcare and you two COs taking me in there, and once they open the door and you're supposed to stand in this line, and if it's full and I can't fit in there, or the next person, they'll push you in to make the capacity just to shut the door and you stuck. And officers get away with that. We can't put our hand on the officer because if we touch and put, there's a case. So those are rules that need to be implemented and looked into that goes on behind the wall in the penitentiary. That I think that if this was open wide like we are here and this word get out, and I don't believe this just happening in Chicago female institution. I do believe it's more institution. It's just that we have a muzzle on us when we locked up due to the consequences that we face by speaking up or writing a grievance or making a complaint. Most grievances get towed up and they'll make it to Springfield or so forth because it's ripped up because they stick together. And that's an issue as far as the mental health. That's something that's very serious. The mental health program that they have, we have nice staff that's worked there, but we don't have enough. A lot of times when they first started the mental health education program, the staff, we had 15 to 20 staffs. And at that time, you could have a staff that have only 2 in the class or 3, no more than 6. Well, now a lot of them have transferred or left and went to the men's penitentiary because they felt the men stick together, right? They grievance. Or a lot of females didn't like how the COs, which correction officers, treat us, and they just said they couldn't work there no more. But even when they left, they can still, I felt like they should have did a complaint, but they went from on to the next penitentiary to the next. So therefore, when you see people suffer within and be in a mental health class, some people won't speak on their problem because they're afraid who's gonna take it out of there, who's gonna let this person know, or you live on a unit with this officer. So what I say here is not safe, it may go back. And I do think that we do need to set up where we have staff work there where they do individual 10 minutes or 15 minutes. As long as we can talk 2 or 3 to release something, it feels good to be able to speak about that. And those things going behind the wall. I'll think of something else in a minute. I just want to express that so far and let Jay take the panel.
Hello, everyone. How you doing? My name is Jay. I have been incarcerated since the age of 15. I went through the system as far as going through the juvenile system, and then when I turned 17, I went to the adult system. To me, it was hard because I was the youngest in the White Correctional Facility, and I got thrown into the Lions. I was surrounded by nobody but adults. I was the only child there, so I had to learn how to survive. I didn't get counseling, and I didn't get help because they looked at me as, oh, she has life in prison, and this is going to be her home for the rest of her life, so let's not bother with her. I had to deal with being placed in a mental health unit because they figured, oh, she's 17 with life and she might harm herself or harm somebody else. They hurried up and wanted to pump me with psych meds because they felt like if they drugged me up, then I wouldn't be an issue or I couldn't say anything of what was being done to me. I too went through a lot of abuse growing up in the prison system because I didn't grow up at home. I spent 31 and a half years in prison. I'm home now. I was just released Friday. Thank God for the laws changing. I want to say thank you to Sister Donna because she has been by my side and she has been a great supporter for me mentally, physically, financially. She's really tried to help me out as much as she can, and I appreciate that. And I agree with Latrice when she says it doesn't happen just in Illinois prison. In 2018, I was shipped to a Florida prison, and it was a choice of my own doing, but I had to get away from Illinois prison because of all the abuse and everything that was going on there, and I literally had to pay to get shipped to a whole nother prison in another state. And due to safety, I had to do that for myself. That's the reason that I am not being showed and my name is not being told due to safety reason. I'm here home now, and I'm just trying to live life one day at a time, but I can't seem to let go of everything that's happened to me in the prison. I'm sorry, y'all. It's hard for me because I lived in prison all my life, and to come home and not have a family because my family all died, and I have a legal team and I have supporters, but the family I don't have because everybody died on me. So Latrice actually was my prison mom. So and I'm so glad to have her, and I'm glad that she's out, and I'm glad that I'm able to talk to her whenever I can. But the system is not helping us ladies, and they're not helping us to build us to come out to this free world. I was thrown out the prison with no reentry, no help. They didn't teach me how to do anything. Everything that I'm trying to learn now, I'm doing this with help of friends or people I've met in prison who become my family. I just learned how to use this phone. I could, I don't know how to do anything. So I think that they should have a system set up for women who have spent years and years of incarceration to have that opportunity to learn about the free world. I assumed that that's what the work release was built for, but yet people who have spent over 30 years in prison, we're not even allowed or have valid crime allowed to go to work release. But yet that should be the part where we should, because that's who's going to help us get back into society, transition back into society. I'm having a hard time transitioning. I call my living room my day room. I have real bad PTSD. If my door opens, I jump up and I think the police is coming. In 95, I had to defend myself, and I called a case on the captain. He rushed into my room, and I have witnesses. Captain beat, rape women, and so I defended myself. They found me guilty, but through mentally ill because they knew I was a mental health unit. Yet I had more time to do. I should have been home. But with that being said, I just think that the ladies in the penitentiary, they need help. They need help, and it's not only in the Illinois prison. I just served 63 years in the Florida Department of Correction, and I have witnessed a woman getting beat to where she's paralyzed. I witnessed a woman being killed by an officer, and nothing, there's no help. There's no help for us. It's like we get thrown in prison and we get treated like animals because of a mistake that we've made. I was a child, and yet I got treated as an adult and an animal, and it messed me up mentally. So now I'm here, and I don't even know how to get any type of assistance down here because it's like I'm in the free world now, but I'm really still confined to the walls that I've lived for the past over 30 years. So I'm not adjusting well, and it's still too hard. So I wouldn't want nobody else who's coming home from prison to experience the stuff that I'm experiencing right now. I'm trying my hardest to, like just yesterday, I went out to the post office and I saw it said it was hiring. So I was like, maybe I can get me a job. So I went in and I asked them, I said, are you hiring? They said, yeah. I said, do you hire felons? They said, well, when was your last conviction? I said, well, 1992. And they was like, what was it for? And I was like, murder. They was like, no, we don't hire violent crimes. And all I could do was cry. It hurt me to my core because I want to do right. I want to be able to stand on my own 2 feet, but society doesn't accept people coming home from prison, especially with a violent crime. And I couldn't even explain that I was a child. I was 15 years old and led by a gang to do what I had to do, and then yet be shut off so quickly. It's hard. It's really hard for us women because the women are more emotional. We feel. So when we don't have our family and we don't have nobody there for us, they wonder why the prison system keeps going higher and higher, why we keep having returnees. Well, if you help us, then maybe we won't have to return to what we know. And so now I'm struggling with that because it's like, do I have food on my table? How can I get food in my refrigerator? How am I going to eat? How am I going to dress myself? Because the penitentiary fed me. They gave me clothes. So now I'm on my own, and I can't even get a job. My conviction is holding me back. So now I'm sitting here like, how do I support myself? Yes, when I first came in, I was a child, so I went about things the wrong way. But that's when I lost my mother. I changed my life around, and I started getting my education. I'm a certified dog groomer, a certified dog trainer. I went to college. I got my GED. I did everything I needed to get from the penitentiary, and I still had faith that I would come home. The law changed where juveniles were no longer allowed to be sentenced to life in prison. So I received a 63-year sentence at 50%. And that's what got me released Friday. But right now, I just want everybody to be aware that we make mistakes, especially women. We're very emotional. And so we make mistakes, but yet we shouldn't have to be held accountable for them for the rest of our lives. And we need some type of system out there and to help these ladies, because if we don't get no help, then when we end up back in prison, we're being told we're criminals and habitual criminals, and we're never going to learn, but we're not being rehabilitated. We have to rehabilitate ourselves. Me and Latrice has taught me everything. She has been a mother figure to me. I didn't know. I still to this day don't know how to wear heels. I don't know how to dress like a woman. I'm still trying to get that concept. And when I came to prison, I didn't know anything about being a woman. Nothing. Latrice had to literally show me, like, no, Jacqueline, you have to wash your clothes like this. No, you have to do you have to do your hair like this. You have to do. This is the things that she had to teach me because I knew nothing about it. But I don't want to take up all your time. I just want y'all to know that the system is not right. And when you try to go to help and you try to get somebody to help you with inside the walls, like Latrice was saying, they retaliate on us. And we have to deal with the beating and the bruise and everything. And I was just crazy because I was just reading the article about in Dwight in 90 when we had a prostitution ring, and they had us all locked up, and we got punished for what the officers were doing to us. So that's why the females are scared to report it. They have a new PREA Act that we're supposed to use, but yet it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all because they always take their officer's side. And I had an incident here. I had an incident in the Florida Department of Correction where an officer pulled my pants down, and we were on we was being transported to another prison, and a male officer pulled my pants down. I was handcuffed and block boxed. There was no way that I could have did it myself. Yet when I got to the other prison to use the bathroom, 2 female officers had to come and pull my clothes up, and it got so aggressive that I ended up being slammed on the floor, face forward, and I went into several seizures. And all this was being recorded. Yet nobody questioned the fact about how I was handcuffed, but my pants were down to my ankle. And then when I reported it, they investigated and said, "Oh, nothing found," because they couldn't prove it. But yet, it happened. So now I have to go through all that. So I'm just saying, a lot of people these ladies need help. They need help inside and outside. And if nobody stands up to help us, how can we learn? They'll be quick to say, "Oh, we let her into society and she did this again and she did that again." But yet when I came to society, nobody helped me. So what was I to do? So today I just want to thank y'all for coming and for listening to us. And I appreciate that. And I hope that this impacts the ladies in prison and females coming out of prison. And I pray that we get the ball rolling, because we can't do it without everybody. It has to be, I was always told it takes a village to raise a child. And right now we need that village to stand up for these women inside and outside of prison. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. I certainly thank Latrice and Jay for being so vulnerable. As I saw in some of the chats, you're feeling how vulnerable that is to come in front of people they don't know and tell these stories of their pain, of their abuse, of even what they did maybe as a child or as an older, a little bit older person. But, we can't judge them for what they did when they were young. And now I know both of them so well. I've been with Jay for about 12 years, walking with her, and what I have learned from them. And I also know when I talk about, the abuse of women in prison, and I'm sure there's abuse of men in prison too, but I work so much with women. And I think it's more difficult because for them, being woman and having children, I mean, there are many women in the prison who have children. And Latrice does have children. Jackie didn't have the opportunity even to have children, been being locked up since she was 14. And so the need is so great to change this system so that not more and more women have to go through what Latrice and Jay have gone through. And so I thank both of them for being so vulnerable. And I have learned so much. And when I talk about women in prison or the incarceration system and the injustice, most people will say, "I never knew. I can't believe that." And believe me, these are 2 women who are speaking their truth. So we really thank them. I don't know if there are questions that need to be answered. We can talk a bit more. I do want to say one thing though about Jay. When she was going through a resentencing, I was talking to her and she was so excited about something. And I said, "What are you so excited about? Because you don't know the outcome of this decision in court." And she said, "I get to dress like a woman. I get to wear heels and a suit." And she, she was so excited about that. And I was like, I never would have thought that. But Jay, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I mean,
You remember that day?
Yes, I do. I remember when they brought me the heels, and I didn't even know how to walk in them, and the girls in the bullpen was trying to show me how to walk, and it was exciting because I had never dressed like that before. I had never felt that good about myself. And even though it was for a brief moment, I was a woman and I was happy. I felt like I was somebody. I felt so secure with myself, and I didn't have to deal with the insecurities. I have so many insecurities with myself, my body, and my looks because that's all I knew. So to be in heels and to be dressed up, it felt so good. And I told Sister Donna, like, oh my God, whatever happens, if they give me life in prison again, it would have been okay with me because I got that one chance to be a woman.
Yes, That was beautiful. And I see in the chats that I thank Joan Johnson for saying, thank you for breaking the silence. I don't know if Latrice and Jay can see that, but I thank you for that. And I'm not reading all of them. There's probably some other really good things, but I just think the appreciation of these two women who are so vulnerable and are speaking to us is such a gift. And Latrice, I think you have your hand up. You want to speak some more?
Yeah, I appreciate you. I think you can see me. Thanks for acknowledging. Can you hear me?
Yes, we could hear you.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
want to hear you.
Most definitely. I want to enlighten you all on the woman part. When you're degraded on a daily basis, like in the penitentiary, and it hurts. Like we need people, even if they church come down there, somebody on the board. We don't feel like women. They strip us of everything. We are crippled. Like we have a visit and we send our kids. We want to feel like a woman to see our kids going to that visit room. They want us to look with your hands behind your back. You wear your uniform. No makeup, no anything. Like you can't wear anything that makes you feel good, not even smell good. And you have some females go, what you got on? We don't sell cologne. So when you finish with your visit, I'm writing you a disciplinary because you don't supposed to have on that. And it's like you get to go home free. The jealousy part. When your kids is there, you want to be everything to your children. You even when you just want to walk when they go home and the next day to feel whole again, to feel like someone, and we don't. A lot of women have a low self-esteem due to that because no one is there far as the system set up to say, well, we're gonna allow you ladies now to be able a little bit at a time to try this on commissary. Oh, I know the other penitentiaries may have this, but y'all is in the penitentiary, y'all have a case, and this is how y'all supposed to be treated. We don't supposed to be demeaned to the level of, well, you breaking us down to the lowest term of denominator. And that's how they do. They'll break you down to the lowest term. And as a woman, just a woman, to take that from you and make you feel worthless, useless, like you're nobody, you don't know what to think of yourself. And that's tragic. And when I say tragic, it's a seed plant within you to make you start questioning yourself, asking yourself over and over, is I'm okay? Do I look okay? Is something wrong with me? And then you start believing because they uphold that in you so many times. You start to think something's really wrong with you until you go get help and reach out and start asking other people, find out they feel the same way, the next person feel the same way, or the next woman feel the same way, and you be what? They can relate. We all can relate because the system have you in the vine, in a nutshell, whereas you're no one, you're nobody. You don't need to feel whole again. You don't need to be a woman. You need to feel like who we want you to feel. And that's nothing. But we are someone. We are human. We share the same blood. It could have been you on this side. I don't know your life story. I don't know what you did. And I don't know, you have family members been locked up, but will you want someone to treat your family like that? So when I think of what Jackie said, that she put on heels, and for that moment, she feel totally top-notch, like a woman. I would have felt the same way. And she said they could have taken that. That's strong. They carry a lot of merit. They could have stripped her of that and gave her life because that one moment. So you see how poignant that is? That's a statement that tells us something needs to be did in the penal institution with the women's. There are so many rules that changes every day, that if this memo come out and say the ladies can go play volleyball or the ladies can wear that, if one person have a problem with that meaning staff, the next day it's changed from one day to the next day. If it's not in writing and we don't honor that, we get punished because most things supposed to be in writing. So for you to feel good Monday, you strip Tuesday, how do you think a person feel within their mind? Anyone that have common sense would understand that on the outside, because sometimes we don't have common sense because we don't know what to think. But we use wisdom because God gave us wisdom. And I just wanted to say that to piggyback on what you say, that moment, and Sister Donna said she was in the courtroom. I didn't know that. Just to hear this on this panel, that I call her my daughter. I call Jay my daughter. Just to hear her say that, like, she called me 3 times before I made it here. I can't get on. I can't get to the phone. I want to be on there. I want to talk. The 4th time I didn't answer her. I came on down here and told my case manager so she could tell Sister Donna. But she had the desire, like, this is what we need. This is what we want. Advocates. We need some to reach out. Y'all need to hear our story. Y'all need to be aware of things that go behind the walls. And with that being said, I just wanted to share that.
Can I say something?
Thank you so much, Latrice. And did you want to say something? Okay.
Yes, I want to say that it's true what Latrice is saying as far as being a woman and feeling like a woman, because I'm here now and it's like, it's sad to say, but I miss my prison clothes. I'm not used to free world clothes. I put on some jeans and some shorts and try to put on some makeup and clothes, and I look at myself in the mirror and I say, that's not me. I'm not used to this. And I think of myself and I look and I say, I don't look right, or I'm fat, or nobody will look at me, or nobody would even turn to say, oh, that's a pretty woman, or, oh, she's cute. So I sit here and I look at myself in the mirror and I say, I wish I had my prison uniform. I wish I would have brought one home so that I can feel comfortable in that uniform, because I don't know how to be a woman. I don't know how to, I'm not accustomed to dress like a woman, and to have that part of me, I'm confused right now. I'm struggling with that right now, because I know I'm out here and I see people wearing clothes and I see people wearing makeup and looking nice and smelling good. And I'm looking at, like, I went to the store and they had a whole bunch of Bath and Body Works, and I was like, I don't want to buy that. And I have yet to even eat with a real fork. I actually brought my prison bowl and my prison my cup home with me, and I went out to the little restaurant. My friend from prison came and took me out to the restaurant, and I was like, I can't eat with this. Can I get a plastic fork, or can I get a plastic cup? It just was something new to me, and it's hard. It's hard, and I feel I have a very low self-esteem right now, and I'm like, I just wish I had my prison clothes, because that's what I know and that's what I felt comfortable in, because that's all that I was told I can wear. I was told that for the rest of my life I would wear that uniform, and my friends got on me like I'm still using my prison ID number as a password or something, and they were like, you got to get something else. I was like, no, that's what I know. Or I call my living room a day room. They were like, it's a living room, it's not a day room. And I'm like, that's what I know. So it's hard. It's really hard. And I call my mama all the time, Latrice. I call her and I tell her, like, I'm scared, or if I hear a noise outside, somebody could be walking outside and I get scared. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. And it's hard to live in fear the way that I'm living. And I'm not even going to lie to y'all. I felt safer in prison and I felt more comfortable in prison. So it's like I'm laying here and I'm thinking, like, what am I doing here? I don't belong here. This is not where I belong. This is not what life is to me. Mm-hmm. But yet I'm trying. And I'm not going to give up. But it's hard. It's hard for us. So we do need help.
I just want to kind of break in just for a minute here, just to, we're about 12:42, or this is the Central Time. We want to take a few minutes for any questions that you might have and put those in the chat. And Jay and Latrice, I mean, a lot of the comments that have been in the chats about God bless both of you for sharing your story. You are both amazing, courageous, resilient. And even though people labeled you, you are not defined by the mistakes you made. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and they are praying for you. So just keep that in mind, especially you, Jay. I know you just got out, and it's going to be hard. But just keep, reminding yourself that you are fearfully and wonderfully made by God, and that, your self-esteem will come back to you. And as you go each day, you just walk with God. And that way, that'll help you to become the woman that you truly want to become, and ask God to help open those doors. So I want to encourage you and continue to talk to Latrice. I wanted to add, I'll just start a question. Latrice, you had talked about a lot about your time in the prison system and stuff, but we have a lot of people on this webinar that are ministering in prison systems. Sometimes they go into the women ministry, women's section, but as been from that and been out for 2 years, for one, what could people that are going into and ministering to people that are in the prison system, what can they do that will really help those that are still there?
Thank you. Great question. First, if we have in a chapel, sometimes a lot of us want to speak to the person that's teaching us in the chapel individually. We used to be allowed to do that, to have someone to pray for us, to just talk to us, but they only gave us 1 or 2 minutes, but that meant a lot. I think now, with the system being with ministers coming in, I do think that the minister, when he opened up and do his prayer, he should ask anyone, is there a special prayer, or someone need to be on the prayer list, or do someone need to speak to me? Whereas when I come, I can see 2 people at a time, or 4 people, or set up something where if you got 30 people at the chapel, or 40, where I would see these 4 this week and the next week these, so they can get it out, and so they can feel good listening to a person, meaning a preacher or a pastor or a minister, say, there is hope. You are someone, you are somebody, and you do belong to the society, and God loves you. And if you think no one don't care, I care, and I'm praying for you. Just to hear those words, people don't realize that will carry a lot of weight from a minister, a person that's coming from the outside world, coming to where we at, to see us how we is, or what we are wearing, or coming in there. And I know some of us look rough when we there. And for a person, even if we know we looking rough, for a minister to say, you look nice today, smile, or God loves you. Just to hear someone say that would bring me back to reality and make me feel like, okay. And that I would leave there and go to my cell all that day and think about that. It makes me want to be who I am again, and to go see that minister the next time and the next time, just to hear a good word. Or maybe the ministers they're allowed to have a list. They can come in and have inmates to sign the list and put their name on it and say, I want to talk about my kids, or I want to talk about me. Can you pray for me this? And the minister allowed to take it out, the institution, for that minister and get someone to write back a card. Just if he has someone in his church, the kids, it don't have to be him, the little kids in the kids section now. Can you write these people and let them know they high, or they look nice for that? And to receive a card, people would really go to church and say, thank you, minister. That card meant it came from you. We would feel good just to know that the outside of society haven't just put up a bar or a fence and say, y'all in there, we out here, we don't care. We would feel good like that.
Okay,
Thank you, Latrice.
You're
Yeah, I
welcome.
also saw that David said, he said it's scary that the women's system is the same as the men. So yes, there's that violence and all of that in men's prisons also, but for speaking. So thank you, David. And I think Joan Johnson said, do they have chapel groups? And is there a reason for ministers to fear entering into jails? Is it safe for us?
Okay, well, let me answer that right quick. When we are in the chapel, it's security there, meaning correction officer. You sometimes it be the sergeant in the white shirt, but you have an officer all the time in the chapel, all the time. And then you have someone standing in the hallway. So we have two correction officers. We have one in the hallway in case someone have to use the bathroom. And if they allow us, sometimes if it's broke, but when it's there, you have a white shirt saying, or a sergeant saying, or a captain, you got 2 minutes to go in and come out, for the next person. So you always have staff correctional officers up there with their mace and so forth. So if the minister or whomever comes see us, they feel threatened, they will remove that inmate and give them a ticket. They can't come to the chapel at least 30 to 60 days for better behavior. So if that happens, that's the procedure of the rule for the chapel. And they do implement that. They don't play about guardhouse down there. I got to say that.
Thank you.
But with that being said, what Latrice is saying, it's not a threat. The female institution is violent with the chaplain or volunteers. They come in there. The women come down there, to tell you the truth. The women come to either praise God or meet their girlfriend. It's never where it's violent inside the chapel. That volunteers are safe. In Dwight, we've had 5K walks. We've helped with our cancer walk, and we have retreats, and where we're staying with them for the weekend. They come for the weekend, and they come every Saturday and Sunday, and they're doing with us all day. And so it's really not a worry. It's no worries for volunteers and chaplains and churches to come out there, because one thing for sure, it's not violent like that with the women. The most you have to worry about with women is talking in church too much, or trying to pass kites or pass a contraband or whatever, as far as getting stuff to their friends or girlfriends or whatever. It's safe. There's no worries with volunteers.
That's where, as Christians, we should be, shouldn't we? Isn't that the thing, to be with prisoners and release prisoners? And I think Teresa said too that we just have to stop, what does she say, turning a blind eye to the injustices in our incarceration and our prison systems, but to women and men too. So Kimberly, do you want to pick up from here? I know
Sure.
we have only a few more minutes. Tim?
Exactly. I just kind of I know one question that came through here earlier was about women COs, correctional officers. Did you all have women correctional officers at the prison?
We had some women. Yes, we have women correctional officers, and that's where the jealousy comes in at. You have some female officers where they feel like, oh, you're an inmate, and oh, you think you're cute, or why do you have your hair like that? You can't braid your hair with different styles. You're supposed to braid it one way. They're the ones that kind of down us. Like, they don't want, for them to be a woman, they should want us to feel like a woman. Yet if we look a little too cute, that's where the jealousy comes in. So we have female officers, and you have some officers that are motherly to us. You have some officers that will cuff you and tell you like it's okay, and try to teach you something. But we do have female officers.
Okay. Yeah, and somebody did make a comment that sometimes the women were worse than the men. So
yeah,
that's unfortunate, because you would think that they would be able to empathize with your situation. But unfortunately,
yes, of course,
See, Leah's responding to that too.
I'm sorry, Jay. I apologize.
It's okay, Mom. It's like the women officer, like, it's even hard. Like, if you asking for sanitary napkins or more tissue, you get 2 tissues a week. We don't have to get. We have women monthly. So for another female officer, another woman to tell us, oh, I'm not giving you no tissue because you get 2 tissue rolls a week. How can you? Or we need more pads. You're a woman. You know how monthly is. But yet we're denied that. We're denied more tissue if we need it. We're denied more pads or something. We have to go through through a whole bunch just to get that stuff. And for a female officer to deny us that, it just doesn't feel right.
I also remember, Jackie, you talking about you got put in segregation, I think, because you had too many socks. Can you respond to that?
Yeah, we have to go, they give us a inventory, and we're only allowed to have a certain amount of socks, certain amount of personals, certain amount of underwears, and they will come and take our stuff. They will come, they don't care. Like, they will come. I remember they raided my mom Latrice's room, and they took all her stuff, and we have to get it all back on our own. They've come to my cell and taken, you're only allowed 6 bars of soap, you have 10. And they will take the 4 bars of soap, or you're only allowed to have 2 deodorants. If you have any more than that, they will take it. And in the state of Florida system, they really are down on that. Like, they won't allow you to have no more than 2 bars of soap, no more than 1 shampoo and 1 conditioner. So they will take your property, and they will not let you have it. And if you try to challenge it, like, they took my socks because they was like, oh, you have socks and you're only supposed to wear white socks. And I would dip mine just to have a little color and not have to wear blue and white all the time. And I have a little tinted blue in it or a little tinted pink in it. And you're going to confinement because you altered your clothes. And they will send you in confinement so quick for that. Just because you feel human, yes.
Yeah, Jay, talk about
Yes.
about confinement, segregation.
That's where you're locked up in a cell. I actually did 3 years in confinement, and you're locked in a cell 24 hours a day. They'll bring you out once a week to go outside. You do take a shower every other day or every 2 days. You have no phone. No, I don't know about Illinois prison as far as right now with tablets, but I know when I was in the Florida institution, I was introduced to a tablet, so that I had never been on a tablet before. But when you go to confinement, they strip you of that too. So you have no way of having contact with your family at all. So the mail system, like in Florida correctional facilities, they just stopped the mail system. So you can't even get mail. All the mail comes through a kiosk or a tablet. So you're not allowed to have any contact with the free will. And as of April 4th in a Florida institution, now you can't receive money from nobody unless they're on your visiting list. So now even if you have a friend like Latrice, she couldn't send me money because she's not on my visiting list, and she's not a family member. She has a record, so she can't even be put on my visiting list. So therefore, now you're leaving me with nothing, and they don't try to provide it for you.
Wow. So as we begin to close, we only have about 5 more minutes. I just want to thank, first and foremost, Jay and Latrice for sharing your powerful stories on what it's like for women in prison. It has been so very eye-opening to most people here. And so we applaud you for your, like you say, for your courage of coming forth and telling your story. And I encourage you to keep telling your story, because that's how the system will change. If we keep hearing your voices, then we know that those of us that can try to do anything, that we need to work, for one, on the system, the systemic issues that occur with women in prison, but also what happens and how can we help with those that are just coming out of prison. And Jay, you were able to share with us, some of your challenges. And so I encourage you both to continue to share your stories, because it is how, for one, we inform people, but for two, how we can get the word out and continue to work for those systemic changes. Sister Donna, for your lifelong work and for what you have been doing with women that's coming out of the system, and women and mothers in general, we applaud you for the work that you do for these women. And so we thank you for your time on today. I just want to share a few of the upcoming seminars and webinars that we are having at CPMC. Of course, you can always go to the CatholicPrisonMinistries.org website to see everything, but On April 20th, we're going to do a gangs and ministry webinar, actually with Father David Kelly. Oh, okay, she's going to put it on the screen. Thank you, Cara.
I see it.
She's with Father David Kelly at, the kind of on the Wednesday at the same times that we're doing this now. So we invite you again. He's from Chicago. Oh, yay, Chicago.
He's my boss.
Ministry that is really doing some awesome work. And so we encourage you to join us for gangs and ministry. The other seminar that we're a synodal feedback town hall. And, the Pope has been asking for the synodal feedback. And so we're going to have one on April 21st with the facilitators, Erica Cohen Moore, Executive Director of the National Association of Catholic Chaplains, and Joe Cotton, Director of Pastoral Care and Outreach for the Archdiocese of Seattle. The third thing that we're having is Prison Fellowship Angel Tree Town Hall on April 22nd. Facilitator is Heather Rice Minus, and she's Senior Vice President of Advocacy and Church Mobilization of Prison Fellowship. So with any of our webinars, we invite you to please join us. And this is for reentry leaders also. So please join us for these webinars. We put them out there to help enhance your ministry, and also to help to give you encouragement, because sometimes we feel like sometimes we're in ministry and we're doing this work all by ourselves. And so we ask that you continue to support CPMC as we try to come up with the different things that is useful. So we encourage your feedback to us, and so that we know that we're doing the right thing and on the right tracks, and that we are being helpful and useful in your ministry. Again, I thank you all for joining us on today. And we ask that you have a blessed Holy Week on next week and Easter season, and come join us at our next webinar on April 20th. God bless you all.